weather has finally started to play ball for us, hasn't it? And the drying ground will actually be what we need to watch out for now. On this week's Weekend Watch, of course, with myself, Andrew Mount and Daryl Carter, our main focuses are going to be Kempton, Newcastle and Lingfield this week. So a bit of an array for you. And then, of course, naps can be from anywhere else. We'll go for Kempton first. And we've got the Pendle Novice Chase, haven't we, at 150. Just the 4 to choose from at the time of recording anyway. What do we like for this, Andrew?
Yeah, intriguing race, this one. It is cut up quite badly from the 4-day stage. GA Law or Galore, whichever you prefer. I've heard both being used. Was 7-2 when the decks first came out with William Hill, who were betting on it early. Now into 13-8. And he's going to have his ground here. He didn't have his ground last time when he ran up against All Mankind at Sandown. Tried to take that one on at the head of affairs. That put paid to his chances and he dropped back into third. But he's got the perfect running style for Kempton, i.e. forcing tactics. He's 3 from 3 since leaving France when he's had anything other than soft or heavy ground. And I think he'll bounce back here. Tamarok de Mathan was beaten here last time and tends to be ridden fairly patiently, or at least chases the leaders, tactics that might leave him vulnerable to Galore nicking it on the front end. And I wasn't keen on Cool Cody. I'm surprised they're coming here. I thought they'd try and preserve his handicap mark of 143 because that he still looks well handicapped. And of course, the novices handicap chase that has been moved from Cheltenham to Sandown, it's got an upper limit of 145, and I thought he'd be ideal for that race just before Cheltenham. So slightly surprised to see him running here. Didn't like the other one, the outsider of 4. That's Nicky Henderson's Son of Camas. So really, I thought Galore was going to make all here.
Should be hopefully as straightforward as that then. Do we agree with that's what's going to happen, Daryl?
No. I do like Galore. I would have preferred Daryl Jacob on him because I think he needs an aggressive ride off the front end. I think he needs throwing at his fences to attack them. He was, like I said last week, he was fantastic at Wincanton. He does get his ground here. Everything is pretty much in place for him to run a big race. He's got to give £3 away to tackle to Matan, though. Paul Nicholls has won this 5 of the last 10 years. The fact they had Hitman ended up in here earlier in the week and decided to leave this one in, I think, speaks volumes. The Kempton run over course and distance behind Shishkin last time was a really, really good time figure. Nothing else has matched that so far. And I didn't think he was overly hard on him that day as well. Just let Shishkin sort of get on with things. It will be an interesting race because Tamarok de Mathan, will just sit off and I suspect they'll let Galore and Cool Cody get on with things up at the front end. I couldn't have any of the other two. It's definitely between the two at the top of the market. It's not going to be a betting race for me because the prices are just far too short. To be honest with you, it's a bit of a disappointing turnout from what the entries were during the week. But I thought Tamarok de Mathan had a lot more to come. I think he's quite a useful horse, and the good ground will bring out a bit more improvement in him as well. So between the two, slight preference for the Nichols horse.
But it's a tight one, isn't it? So Gar or GA Law for Andrew then, and Tamarok de Mathan just about for Daryl, but it does look between those two, doesn't it? So bit of a disappointing field, but we can't do anything about that, unfortunately. The 225 at Kempton is where we go next for the Adonis Hurdle. I think, obviously, the quicker ground we're going to have to really focus on, as I said earlier. And I really like Tritonic in this, who is a super versatile horse ground-wise. He's shown his engine to us in the past on the flat. Will he beat the reopposing Casa Lupe, though, Daryl?
Yeah, I think he will. I think if Jamie Moore could ride that race again, I think he would probably ask Casa Lupe a bit earlier than he did. He was looking behind him, and I think he was a little bit shocked to see Tritonic so close to him. But I thought Tritonic was well on top, to be honest, at the finish. The time figure of the race was good. I think these two are miles clear of everything else in here. And I think Tritonic is the one that screamed to me that was going to improve the most from that run. I love the way he travelled. Love the way he's jumped towards the end of the race. He improved throughout the race. It's just to put a little bit of meat on the bones. He was 7 lengths faster than Craig Niche, who ran over 2 miles free and won easily off a mark of 127 and is now rated 138. So I had him running between around 135 and 140. Unless any of these newcomers are going to run up to that sort of level straight off the bat, which is highly unlikely, then I think the pair should take a bit of beating. This Honour de Jonc for Miss Jane Williams Andrew's favourite jockey, Chester. I think he would have beat Heroes to Soy last time. I don't think the time figure was that great. I think the good ground will probably be a little bit more of a help. But I think going forward, I would think Tritonic has got bigger engagements lined up in terms of the Triumph Hurdle, and I think he should take some beating here, to be honest with you. Yeah, Tritonic for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Obviously, we've got others in here. Daryl, is there anything? Andrew, sorry, is there anything at a bigger price that you thought could outrun the odds at least?
Yeah, very possibly. Maybe Paso Doble for Paul Nicholls, one for the Strictly Come Dancing fans. Gelded since his last run for Jim Bolger in Ireland, and looking at his flat speed figures, he actually ran quicker in Ireland on the turf than did Tritonic. Obviously, this is a tough ask going straight into Grade 2 company for your hurdles debut. But a double figure price is, it wouldn't surprise you to see Paul Nicholls pull something out of the hat with this one. Tritonic, I think, is the best horse in the race. He's going to be the best long-term prospect. But the concern is that, sorry, Daryl's just eating a packet of crisps, I think. The concern is that his running style. Tritonic comes from off the pace. Coming from off the pace is not the right tactic at Kempton. Yeah. Particularly in this race we saw last year, Highway 102, made the running. And you go back year after year, the winner tends to be in the first one or two throughout. So you've got an Honor Dan Jonk who made the running last time out from an early stage when taking an unlucky fall at the last over course and distance. Casalupi can perhaps make the running. And because you've got the French horse, Margaret's Legacy, who has been making the running in France. I mean, it's possible they'll end up in a three-way go for the lead and set it up for Tritonic. But I was kind of hoping Tritonic would get chinned here, finish second or third from off the pace, and then I'd want to back him for the Triumph because there'd be an overreaction to that. But on a track that generally doesn't favour his running style, 11 to 10 even money, I can leave him alone.
So the bet?
I'll take a chance with Paso Doble, but it's not a race that I'm getting massively involved in.
Yeah, a bit hard, isn't it? And then me and you like Tritonic, yeah?
Yeah.
Daryl? Okay.
Yeah.
Completely agree with that. So we'll see how the 225 pans out. We stick with Kempton. We've got the 3 o'clock coming up, the Dovecote Hurdle, and this doesn't look straightforward from the betting at all, I don't think. And majority of this field are last time out winners, Andrew.
Yeah, this was really tricky. I started off trying to find a reason to take on Atholl Streets for Paul Nicholls, thinking it's fairly sort of modest Taunton form. I don't know what is Daryl performing CPR on somebody now.
I don't know what he's doing.
I'll tell you what's just happened. I've just had to run downstairs and open the door, and I'm a little bit out of breath, so I apologise.
We can just hear you like messing with your earphones and stuff. So,
oh, right, sorry.
You're distracting Andrew.
Well, I went for my first run for a few weeks yesterday, so I can sympathise with your predicament. But yeah, although it's only fairly low key Taunton form that Atholl Street brings to the table, he's been winning in a fast time. Both wins very comfortably. He's won by 16 lengths last time. He's 2 from 2 since wind surgery, 2 from 2 in the tongue tie. I thought he had fairly obvious claims as well, and he's got the prominent style that is favoured here as well. So I'll put up Atholl Street as the pick. I wasn't, hugely confident. I don't want to have a bet in the race. So, again, if you're following me in with these weekend watch selections, maybe just only go very small if you are going to back this one.
Okay, that's the current favourite, Atholl Street. I wanted to ask you, Daryl, what about Pyramid Place? This horse is the outside of the field. Looking at the form, beat Mascada last time out. That horse is rated 130. I felt like Pyramid Place was overpriced, and Milton Harris, the horses are going along really well at the minute. Yeah,
it's a waste of a handicap mark, isn't it? You could look at that. You could look at that a couple of ways. Look, over the years, the high-rated horses in the field have come to the fore. There's absolutely no reason to think that Atholl Street is not rated. Should be rated around 135 based on what he did at Taunton. His time figures at Taunton was on level par with Boot Hill, who was quite strongly fancied for the Supreme. They ran on the same card, race after each other. He's still learning, this horse. He's got loads more to come. He's still very green. He did that in a canter. I loved everything he did that day. I really like him. I think he'll be very, very dangerous if he gets his own way out in front. It's very hard to see him beaten for me. I've got this down to 2. I thought this race was actually pretty straightforward. I've got this down to 2. Atholl Street, who I want to back to win, and Cape Gentleman is the other one for Emmett Mullins. Emmett Mullins, I think, has only sent one other horse over to us this year, and that horse was the Shunter, who won the Greatwood. So it's very interesting they sent him over. On debut, he bolted up at Punchestown in a canter, just cantered round and beat a decent horse called Petit Bonhomme. I can't even say it, but anyway, that horse is rated around 125. And he did it in a canter. He ran it behind Gaillard de Mesnil last time out. Now, he was at the rear of the field, and if you go back and watch that race, they've not even asked him for any sort of effort. He's literally just trotted round at the back of the field, and then they pulled him up. Now, I don't know if there was an issue with him or what, but he was never even asked a question. I'm just wondering if that was just a bit of a spin to come here, and this has been a plan for a while. Emmett Mullins is a very shrewd operator, so I wouldn't take him at all lightly. At 4-1, there's 2 places you could probably have a filthy each way bet on him, because I can't see any of the others getting in between these two. I really can't. Mackenberg rated 130. He's not a 130 horse, and Calico was visually impressive, but it didn't do nothing on the clock last time out. And the form of that race is working out absolutely abysmal. 3rd and 4th have both been beaten since, even when they were heavily backed in their races. This is between Cape Gentleman and Atholl Street. I've played Cape Gentleman each way at 9-2. I'm going to play Atholl Street to win. I'm going to play the reverse forecast as well, because I'm that confident nothing else can get involved. I think it's between the 2.
Okie dokie, Atholl Street for Andrew then, and you for Cape Gentleman and Atholl Street. And I'm actually going to put up, because I will back it each way, I shall put £2.50 each way probably with my big punting style on Pyramid Place, who I do think is probably just a bit underrated and a bit overpriced, perhaps a smaller trainer, and I thought did a real good job last time out when winning well. As I say, beating Mascada, who's rated 130. It's in the 3 o'clock. We stick at Kempton for their 3:35, don't we? Another good graded race coming up. The Close Brothers Handicap Chase. 13 of the last 4 winners of this have been 7, 8 or 9. So there's a couple that we can rule out. And the horse I like in here is Condor Castle. That horse steps up to 3 miles for the first time, which hopefully should be quite easy to do at Kempton. Quickish ground as well should help. And I just think Condor Castle's such a solid, consistent horse. So he's going to be my pick in this. Daryl, what is yours?
Well, I was going to go on a bit of a diet from these big field handicap chases because they are very difficult. But there is one actually I do quite like in it. Southfield Stone for Paul Nicholls steps up to 3 miles for the first time. I think it's long been overdue, to be honest with you. That's the sort of improvement there from Southfield Stone, especially back on good ground as well. His career form figures on good ground read 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. If you go back to his Newbury run, on soft ground, the winner of Fanny and Destravel is now a graded horse and rated £20 higher. The second is Sully Dock A. He is rated £10 higher, while Southfield Stone is only £1 higher here. He was ran at Kempton last year on this card in the Pendle and earlier in the Pendle Novices Chase, earlier in the card. And he was just outstayed by Who Dares Wins, but he was keeping on all the way to the line. That horse is rated 147. They beat him by 3 1/4 lengths. But if they met today, there would be a £4. Southfield Stone would be in receipt of £4. He goes to Cheltenham next time out, and he beats Cool Cody very easily over 2 miles 4. He did all his best work at the finish that day, just idled a little bit in the front coming up the hill. And then Cool Cody goes out and wins the Paddy Power. He's now £6 higher. Southfield Stone hasn't moved in the ratings. I thought the ground was probably too slow for him next time at Cheltenham, and then he's had a spin over in a bumper, and then in between that, he ran behind Protectorat. Paint the Dream was in behind, 6 lengths behind him that day, and he was in receipt of £8 from Southfield Stone. If they was to meet today, Southfield Stone would be £12 better off of him. I just can't see how he's not well handicapped on good ground off a mark of 143. I think that the step up in trip is going to be the source of improvement. I just think there's lots to like about him. And this race is full of horses that are rated in the 150s. Not many horses win handicaps off marks in the 150s. And a lot of others, you've got to, there's questions to answer for them. Obviously, it's a big field. Yeah. But I don't see anything else in this field that's as well handicapped as Southfield Stone is.
What have you got him at 8 to 1 ish?
10. Get out of it. 10 to 1.
Okay. I'm asking. Okay.
You can have 12s in a few places.
Oi, get that written down, Leonna. 12.
Absolutely doing you over. Daryl with Southfield Stone then. Andrew, what about Cap du Nord here, who's the forecast favourite? Christian Williams, yard a little bit quiet at the moment.
Don't like him. He's £19 above his last winning mark.
What, Christian or the horse?
Both, actually. And,
you ain't making many friends on here, are you?
Well, and I'm definitely not one to talk about weight. But the thing is, as well, he also ran in the Skybet Chase, and that race has not been a good guide to this one. Looking in the last 10 years, those who ran at Doncaster before running at Kempton are 0 from 12 in the last 10 years. I think if you go back to the start of this century, it's just 1 from 18. And that was Nakarat, who was trained by Tom Georgia, of course, who's trained your pick here. But, I wasn't totally taken with him at the price. And, he didn't really scream future winner to me when finishing a modest third in the Sky Bet last time out. So I'm with Daryl on this one. Southfield Stone, he's one of two I like in the race. He's had 11 runs in his life on good to soft or quicker turf or the all-weather. 7 wins, 4 seconds from those 11 starts. So, each way at 12 to 1, 4 places or probably more in place. But to be honest, I think I'd rather have the quarter of the odds to 4 rather than the fifth of the odds to 5 here. Because I think he's going to be hard to keep out the first couple. So, he'll do for me. The other one I was interested in was the Butcher Said, who's had his second wind operation. Now, last year at this meeting, he came back from a wind operation over hurdles. Actually, I think it might have been at Kempton in March, not this meeting. But he finished second of 20. Ran well after that for a few starts. Then the effect of the wind surgery wore off. And I think now he's had his wind tinkered with again. We can see the Butcher Said bounce back from his sort of recent modest form. Double shuffles an 11-year-old, a stablemate of your pick, Clondor Castle, but he does like it here, and he might run well, sort of finishing 3rd or 4th. But again, 9 of the last 10 winners were aged like 9 or younger. Mellow Ben I wasn't totally keen on. He seems best in small fields and does his winning from April to September, although he has been well backed, and Richard Johnson's on board. But Southfield Stone and saved on the Butcher Said. That's where I'm going with this one.
Butcher Said, I'm not guessing a price in case you shoot me down. What price is the Butcher Said at the moment?
12 to 1. Yeah, 12 to 1 I've got. I'm just looking at the Betfair Sportsbook. Southfield Stone and the Butcher Said both 12 to 1.
Very good. That's where Daryl needs to go then. So Clondor Castle for me, Southfield Stone for Daryl, and Southfield Stone and a saver on the Butcher Said for Andrew. That's for the 3:35 Close Brothers Handicap Chase, and that's obviously at Kempton. That's our 4 for Kempton. We go to my regular Sky Sports jaunt next, Newcastle. We got the Eider Chase there at 3:15. Another one that I found a little backed for. 14 of the last 16 winners have been 10 years old or younger, but can the last winner of this race in 2019, Cross Park, defy that stat, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the more recent stats, it's generally been a horse for a race for those aged between 9 and 11. I mean, we've had an 11-year-old Companero in 2011, 10-year-old Wick Hill in 2014, Rocking Blues in 11 to 1 in 2016. So with Cross Park being, bidding for a repeat, I wouldn't put you off. I mean, in terms of someone said, here's a free tenner, you'd probably want to put a 5 each way on Cross Park. He's wonderfully consistent. He's finished runner-up in his last 4 starts. I don't think he's ungenuine just because there's a lot of seconds in those form figures, but you'd be hard-pressed to see him out of the first 3 or 4 here, although he has got a lot of weight to carry. It's a really tricky race. I looked at Salty Boy because every time you watch him, you think this horse needs 6 miles, not 4. He just, whatever trip they run him over, he just finishes to good effect, gets outpaced and stays on. I did have a look at his sire, with Stowaway, with runners over 3.5 miles or further, expecting it to be pretty good. But it's one winner from 52 over fences, which is a bit of a worry from an expected win rate of around about 4. So, yeah, don't be. Maybe Salty Boy's just going to be the kind of horse that stays on and finishes second or third wherever he runs. A bit like waiting patiently. It doesn't seem to matter which trip they run him over. He's always going to find one or two too good. So I kind of talked myself out of a bet on him. I looked at Crossley Tender for the Henderson Yard. They do well with their chasers, and he goes well after a recent run. When he's been to the returned to the track within a month, he has won 5 of his 15 starts, showed a good profit. It's borderline case here, 35 days off. But again, it's very rare that he's out of the first 3 outside of his seasonal debuts, and a very consistent animal. So Crossley Tender, sort of 16s into 11s in the last few days, he could go well. And Springfield Fox for Tom George, who trains your Kempton pick, Clondall Castle. Yeah. First time cheek piece is on. He's pulled up the last twice. He had a pipe opener over hurdles at Chepstow over the wrong trip on his seasonal debut. Was being aimed at the Welsh National. Outclassed in that, ran a bit of a shocker. Disappointing again last time out. But he does tend to come good at this time of year. And if the cheek pieces wake him up, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility. But yeah, strong economy. If this race was at Ayr, he'd be a 5-star nap because he just loves that place. But there's got to be a doubt about him being able to reproduce that elsewhere. So I was struggling. I was looking at Crossley Tender. I was looking at Cross Park. I was looking at Springfield Fox. I'll probably just be very safe and boring, go each way on Cross Park, and hope he can repeat last year's win.
Let's. I hope so. Daryl, what do you fancy in this?
Yeah, I quite fancy Crossley Tender. Thought he was a big eye catcher. Yeah, I do. I thought he was a big eye catcher at Ascot in terms of wanting an extreme trip. Made a massive blunder down the back. I think it was about 8 out, and it was then Porter his next 2 as well. I think he just lost his confidence there. He got quite a bit behind, but he stayed on really strongly. He had loads to do. I think it was about 16 lengths off the leader at 3 out, and he was beating 5 lengths at the finish. I just think this horse definitely wants an extreme trip. That was a career best from him on all the figures. He's been left on the same mark of 125. I think he's really progressive. He's honest as they come as well, and he should relish this sort of trip. He's 2 for 2 this season over trips further than 3 miles. 16 to 1. I think he'll definitely be in the frame. He's only an 8-year-old. I think there's plenty more to come. I like him.
So one of you've at least gone with one of Andrew's picks, and he can say then he give it a positive mention should that one win, but not the pick for Andrew. So we can't let him take it. So Crossley Tender for Daryl and Cross Park for Andrew. It's not an easy race, that's the Eider, is it? But that's the only one we're going to cover for Newcastle, so that's all you've got. And then we go to Daryl's favourite place ever. We're going to go to Lingfield. Is there anything else at Newcastle, as we're only covering that one race, before we go to Lingfield, either of you?
No, nothing from me.
Nothing from me either.
Okay, perfect. Lingfield we go then. Obviously, we've got 2 races to give you from there. We'll start with the first of those at 205. Which is the Heather Stakes, and we've got Moss Gill there, who is a fairly short price, who's going to be tackling Lingfield for the very first time, Daryl.
Yeah, I don't like this race. I don't. I can find little negatives with all of them, really. It's interesting. You got Blue de Vega coming back after 136 days. He's failed to win off the back of a break before. The same goes for Rocket Action. Moss Gill does look hard to oppose, really. 1 for 3, 1 for 3 on your weather. This is a tricky track, though, and you prefer someone that's been here and done it. I think the most rock solid option, really, to be honest with you, is probably Royal Birth at a big price. He's probably not up to this sort of level these days, but he's finished second, fifth, and won this contest in the last 4 years. He's consistent as they come. This is going to be run at a hell of a pace, I think. Ornate's in here. Lord Ridderford is going to be forcing the pace. I don't know what they're going to do with Moss Gill. I think they should drop in, but I don't know what they're going to do first time up. It's interesting that Moss Gill switched to Edward Bethel as well, so that's another little unknown as such.
Well, it's just the son taking over from the father.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, is it? Oh, okay, that's fair enough then.
Yeah, so
that's how clued up I am.
I'd assume the training should still be the same, but it's still there, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that there you go. That's not an issue then. It's just even money on return at a track. The horse never ran out. It's just not really for me. I think it'd just be a bit loose, really, for me to be punting that. I'm not going to have a bet in the race. I'm not. But it's probably going to be a selection of Royal Birth each way, hoping that he finishes. Is it 7 runners actually? You know,
Yeah.
7 runners. Yeah.
Christ, you can see why I don't like it, can't you?
Well, if Royal Birth wins, you'll be absolutely fuming because you've told us now that you're absolutely not having a bet on it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though.
Which is why I said I'd back that outsider of mine a bit, just in case.
That's the thing with it, though. If there were 3 places on offer, I'd happily put up Royal Birth, but because I think it'd definitely be in the frame, and with 2 places on offer, I don't think you can guarantee that. Especially, sorry.
You can back him. You can back him each way without the favourite, I guess. Or
there's probably little angles there.
Three places for a lesser price.
The exchanges.
Yeah, it just all seems a little bit hard work for me, Andrew, for a horse that I don't think can win the race. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah.
Then, Andrew.
Well, you've gone quiet on me. I like this race. I like this race, as you'd expect. I tipped Moss Gill in Racing and Football Outlook when I wrote my column on Monday. At the time, he was the 2-1 second favourite. The original Jolly's not in here, though, so he's a price I don't really want to get involved at. But he's got a great record when fresh. He got chinned on his racecourse debut. He was way too green to do himself justice. But since then, when he's had at least 6 weeks off the track, 7 runs, 3 wins, 3 seconds and a 6th. When we last saw him, he was running 4th in a listed race at Nottingham, doing best of those to come from off the pace on a track where you couldn't make up any ground from the back on that particular day. And he's by no nay never. And like last year, he had 2 runs when fresh. First time out, he won at Wolverhampton, a track where his sire's got a terrible record. No nay nevers on Topeta are pretty hopeless. So it was quite impressive that he could actually win on that surface. And if they do much better on poly tracks, so I think he'll actually improve for coming to this surface. So, Moss Gill, the obvious one after a break. Rocket Action is another one I'm a big fan of. He ran some huge races at Wolverhampton last winter. He just missed out on the course record by a 100th of a second. And then next time out, he raced in the swamp on the inside rail when it was really deep and still managed to win. Now, after those 2 Wolverhampton runs, we didn't see him until he ran in Group 1 company in the King's Stand at Royal Ascot. 125 to 1. I actually bet him that day. He travelled well, but he's just not the same horse on turf. He did go close in a listed company at Deauville on quick ground last summer, and then perhaps a little bit outclassed in a Group 3 at Dundalk when we last saw him. But Rocket Action is a very, very quick horse. I'm surprised they haven't sold him to race in the States or more likely Hong Kong. So interesting that that they've still got him. And I would say if you're going to back one now, probably Rocket Action over Moss Gill, or just have a back Rocket Action and have a saver on Moss Gill to beat him into second. But I agree with Daryl. It's good that Ornate's in the race because we should get a solid pace now, and that one will be sort of, I doubt, taken on for the lead by Lord Ridderford, but Lord Ridderford will certainly be on his shoulder throughout. That should set it up for one ridden slightly more patiently, maybe Rocket Action, but probably Moss Gill.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, because the first couple in the betting have all got a layoff to overcome, but on the stats, it's a positive for Moss Gill, that then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Not the easiest. We've also got that Winter Derby Stakes as well that we're going to cover, which I'm sure you are so chuffed about, Daryl. That comes up at 2:40, and we've got last year's winning trainer in here, haven't we, John Gosling? I think he's won this a couple of times, actually, but he's got Forest of Dean in here, Andrew, who was behind Felix last time.
Yeah, this is a really tricky one. Not the highest quality Winter Derby we've seen in recent years. John Gosden bidding for his 3rd straight win in the race. And, the favourite is the slowest horse in the race, according to Raceform speed figures. He's been very impressive, winning with plenty in hand, by wide margins, over 4 lengths the last twice. But that's coming a Class 5 novice at Chelmsford and a Class 3 handicap here. So he's sort of filed under the could be anything in the could be anything draw. Wouldn't be surprised if he bolted up here. By the same token, just looking at his Racing Post rating, he's got the joint lowest in the race. You look at his speed figures, he's got the clear lowest. You're thinking, well, it doesn't perhaps look the most straightforward ride either. Can race keenly in a tactical affair, stepping up from handicap companies to Group 3. I can leave him alone at the 6-4. So more interesting for me was Power of States, who's completely different horse on the all-weather. He's 0 from 11 on turf, 6 from 9 on the all-weather. And you look at the defeats, he probably really should be 8 from 9. He was given way too much to do when third at Chelmsford in December, and the winner made all that day. And a couple of runs ago, the only time he ran here, he was given a shocker by Richard Kingscote, who hasn't ridden him since. I don't think ever will again, finishing last of 4 as the 11-8 favourite. So he got back to winning ways when I put him up as a big bet at Wolverhampton last time out, and should get a reasonable pace to chase here. And I thought at the prices, the outsider of the field, 16-1 in a place, Power of States has got to be the way to go.
Okay, yeah, Power of States. Was Power of States the horse that dead heated at Chelmsford? Do you remember?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, again when they
neither jockeys wanted to argue. I was a bit like, they just both accepted that it was a dead heat. It was very strange. Anyway, so the outsider of the field for Andrew, a bit of an exciting one. What do you make of this, Daryl? As Andrew said, I think Father of Jazz is, whether he's just still a bit green, but he does look difficult. He's been keen on occasions. I know the last time as well, he was an absolute knout in the stalls as well. He's obviously not straightforward.
He wins though. He might not be straightforward, but he wins this. He's been visually very, very impressive. I think he's a really, really promising type, ready to step up and grade now. He's got all the right attributes to cope with a race like this. He can sit off a slow pace, which he's done the last couple of times. He can quicken. He can go, I think a stronger pace will suit him even better, and this step up and trip is definitely going to suit him. Sorry, this is not a step up and trip, is it? No, I thought the step up to 10 furlongs definitely suited him. I just really like him. I think he's a really nice horse, a really nice progressive horse. I don't think you can do anything about his current speed figures. I just think he's been taking a lead from horses that are just not as good as him, and therefore he's not been getting that stronger pace in those lower graded races. The likes of Felix, for instance, might have stronger speed figures, but this horse has just been, the races he's been running in, he's been off slow gallops there, but he's able to quicken, so he's got a smart turn of foot. But I don't think, I think he's flattered on what he's been beaten and what he's done. I'm trying to make this case quite clear, but I can't. I just think that Father of Jazz is just a really nice horse, and I don't think it'll be long before Father of Jazz is competing in Group 2 and perhaps in Group 1 company. I can't really make much more of a stronger case than that, because it's very difficult to work on what he's done with the form. It's very difficult. There's no speed figures and RPRs, so you're kind of just taking my word for it, really. But I do think he is the most likely winner of the race, and I think he's got a big, big future.
Yeah. But again, I get what you're saying in the sense of horses can only beat what's put in front of them. So if you're running races that are not that good, or you're beating horses that are not that good, it doesn't mean that Father of Jazz won't be, but just at the moment, on paper, maybe it doesn't look amazing. But
exactly, time figures will only tell you what they have done. They won't tell you what they can do.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to price at the end of the day. You're thinking, well, he could be anything. He could end up being, a genuine Royal Ascot kind of horse. But do I want to take 6-4 even money or whatever he's going to be on the day to find out? So just depends if you think that's a value price given the risks attached.
I do.
Well, there you go. Opinions. So Andrew doesn't. So Andrew with Power of State. So that could be, if you want a bigger price, the outsider of the field at the moment. And Father of Jazz for Daryl. That's the 240. Now I'm sure that Daryl have you got loads of other bets for us? All weather extraordinaire at Lingfield.
No, I haven't got nothing at Lingfield. I've got something at Kempton for you when you're ready for that.
Okay, we'll do the rest of Lingfield. Andrew?
There's a couple of interesting ones. First of all, in the 12.55 Goring, only 4 runners, but he's ridden by Charles Bishop, who's a real good jockey in small fields, tactically astute. In the last 5 years, he's had 110 rides in fields of 5 or fewer runners, won 30 times, and you'd make a good profit backing those blinds. So I thought Goring, course expert, might be a bit of value in that race. His recent form figures are fairly uninspiring, so he'd probably be a good price. And a very interesting one in the 3.43. This is Grain of Sense for Rafe Beckett. Now, Rafe Beckett's used wind-ups very sparingly. He's only given 4 horses wind-ups previously. 2 of those 4, one 16-1 and 4-1. Another one was second at 9-1. And Grain of Sense has had the wind surgery since his last run. I thought he might be able to provide a bit of value in that race.
Okay, perfect. So that's 2 others at Lingfield, and then anything anywhere else? We'll go back to you, Daryl, as I know you've got something at Kempton.
Yeah, just in the 115, I'm not surprised at the likes of Diocletian at the head of the market, Echo and Gunsight Ridge. I thought they would prove quite popular. I did like the Bestie Man, but I've just seen he's come out now. But I do like Golan Fortune. If you go back to his run at Cheltenham on good ground behind Captain Tomcat, he was given far too much to do off a very slow pace. He really caught the eye weaving through the field and he just couldn't get there soon enough. Really, he was hampered on the running as well. It was a little bit disappointing. And then he went to Aintree and ran behind. You know what I mean, Harry, in a Potemps handicap hurdle. Now, I'm not entirely sure that was the best of him, but it's a Potemps race, and you've sort of got to take those with pinches of salt. Now, it transpires that he hasn't actually got an entry in the Potemps now, even though he's qualified. So, but even so, he qualified for the Potemps there. And then he ran again at Cheltenham on soft ground, and he ran a blinder to get within 2 lengths of on the blind side. On the blind side, obviously came out and finished second in that real kill hurdle before going on to win again. Miss Milner is quite highly touted for Cheltenham, and I thought that was a really eye-catching run there. He goes out novice chasing his last 3 starts. Wins first time up, beating Champagne well. He's improved, ran really well behind Chamblou, and ran an absolute cracking race behind Next Destination. He eclipsed anything he's done in the whole of his career in terms of speed, in terms of racing post ratings, anything. And he reverts back to hurdles today. And I just think that this horse is on a little bit of an upward curve. And dropping back to hurdles today off a mark of 139 under Luca Morgan taking £7 off. I think he could have a big chance. The thing with this race is that Diocletian and horses like that are going to be attractive because they're the unexposed horses, so they were automatically going to go to the top of the market. Diocletian ran no sort of race really on the time figures last time at Fakenham. It was a poor race, always well positioned for that sort of track. This is going to be a little bit different now, stepping up in grade. Gunsight Ridge is a little bit of an unknown with this trip. Now, I know he ran really well behind Goal Road last time at Newbury over 2 miles, but it didn't scream to me like he wanted to go further up in trip. Now, the better ground might help him get that, but I was just a little bit concerned there. The likes of Major Dundee and Hometown Boy there and Tedham, they're all sort of on marks where they could win, but they're not thrown in. And I just thought class act to the field, Golan Fortune, would go really, really well, really close here, I think, in this race.
Okay. Have we got anything anywhere else other than naps?
No, that's it. What do you want? Blood from a stone? Come on.
Just checking. I know how fabulous you are. I want to give you the opportunity to show it off. It's just naps left then, so I shall let you 2 go first.
Tell us more about how fabulous we are, Leonna.
Well, I'll do it afterwards. I don't want to waste people's important time. They already know anyway.
Where you going, Andrew? You go first. Go
on. Good question. I'll go for a Grain of Sense in that 343 at Lingfield with the Rafe Beckett's wind-up angle.
Okay, back from a break. Daryl?
Southfield Stone.
Is the nap. Guess what race my nap is annoyingly in the 115 at Kempton, and guess what horse it is?
Diocletian. I bet it's Diocletian.
It is.
That's all right.
I think he's going to be good. I think once because he obviously he was still keen last time. So I think he did well to win. So I think he'll settle a bit better again today. I think Paige has done a really good job on him. Drying ground will be fine. I just think he's going to still be well handicapped, and I just think he'll be much better over jumps. And I think the handicap could have given him a higher mark.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do agree. 126 for a 98 rated flat horse is very lenient. I don't know. Too obvious.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, maybe. Well, that's my nap anyway. Too obvious, apparently. I'm doing my best, guys. I'm doing my best. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching. Obviously, check out GG.CO.UK com for race cards, all of those trainer jockey interviews that Daryl's done for us as well. And of course, we've got all the Cheltenham videos as well that are going up constantly. So do make sure you do check those out. Thanks for always joining us, and we'll do our very best to hopefully have given you some winners this weekend.